Hello and welcome back to my channel. For this rock, we're going to need a rock that's base painted white, red, blue, and brown paint, a star stencil, printed version of the U.S. Constitution, sized to fit your rock, Mod Podge or some other type of glue, and resin. I will have links to all of my supplies will be linked in the description below. So I have base painted my rock white, and this is a rock from a mold from the Happy Dotting Company. I will have a link to that also down in the description below. So I am using an airbrush gun to base paint my rock red, or not base paint, but to paint my rock red. You can just brush this on. This isn't a big deal. It's just the airbrush goes on without any kind of strokes, and it's just a thin layer. So I like to use the airbrush, and it's quick, but you definitely don't need that for this project. Now that I have the red painted and dried, I'm taking blue, and this is just primary blue, and I'm just painting one corner of my rock. You want to make sure to go all the way around the edges. And you want this to be a straight line, but I'm doing it diagonally across my rock. And then we are going to let that dry. And once the blue is dry, I'm taking a charcoal pencil and I'm just going to draw in my lines. This is where I want my stripes to go. And then I'm making a grid in the blue, and this is where I'm going to place my stars. So I'm just going to hand draw in my stars, but you can use a stencil if you have one available. Otherwise, you can just do it like I'm doing. And I'm doing every other space in the grid with a star. So now I'm going to take just some titanium white, and I'm going to paint in my stars, and I'm using a disposable eyeliner brush. And I will have those linked in the description below. So now I'm just making sure that I like the direction my lines are going in. And I've printed off the U.S. Constitution and I've sized it to fit my rock. And now I'm just tearing away the edges, and you want these to be imperfect. So you want to kind of tear it in kind of a jagged line. You want the imperfections in this. And I'm going to separate the top part where it says "We Are the People." That's going to go across the top of the rock. That'll be the final piece. And then I'm just tearing these in about 1/2-inch strips for my rock. And I printed off a new one, and I'm tearing, just using the "We Are the People." I wanted a smaller size for the "We Are the People." So this is something I forgot to mention in the very beginning. I'm using Distress ink by Tim Holtz, and I'm using, I believe this is a Vintage Photo, and I'm just going to go around the edges with this Distress ink to darken the edges of my paper. And this is going to help distress the tears so that they're not so white. Basically just covering up all of the white of the torn paper. And this is going to make it kind of look like maybe it was burnt or aged. And this was the ink dauber that came with, I believe it came with my set. I've had this set for so long I'm not even 100% sure. But I know you can still get these off of Amazon. And I'll have those linked below in the description as well. I forgot this step when I was at the beginning, that we will use this Distress ink. And I think it came in a set of 4 or 5 different colors. You see I'm cleaning up the little torn edges. If I don't like the way it tore, I just kind of fix it as I go along. The main goal is to cover all of the white. You don't want any of the white of the paper showing. So now that I've got all of that done, I'm going to take Mod Podge and I'm going to glue down each one of these strips of piece of paper, and these are going to basically be the white stripes in the flag. And make sure to wrap around the edge of your rock. And don't forget to distress any of your edges after you tear your paper to the proper size. And I got this idea off of Pinterest. I saw several tumblers that had designs similar to this. This is kind of my own take on it, but I don't know who originally came up with this design, but I love it. I'm very patriotic anyway, so I love this kind of design. Just kind of sings to me. Now, if you notice in my blue, I did not erase the charcoal pencil. Make sure you do that. On my rock, you can still see it. So I have to recreate it because I don't know what I was thinking. Why? It's like I didn't even see that the little squares were still there. So you definitely want to make sure to erase that. It comes off with water, so it's real easy to erase. Now I'm taking some brown paint and I'm mixing it in with my Mod Podge, and I'm going over, kind of dry brushing over my stars to dirty them up a little bit. You want to antique those stars because they're bright white, and you want to age them a little. So I'm just adding a little bit of brown to my Mod Podge and then dry brushing that over the rock. I also tried a little bit of alcohol ink. That kind of made my Mod Podge clump up a little bit, but you can try that as well. I was just trying different techniques for aging, adding kind of aging to the red, the blue area, and the stars. So I'm pretty much adding it across the whole rock. You want it to be kind of streaky and dirty looking. See, now I've realized that some of my white lines are still showing, so I'm going over that, but you can barely see it on my rock, but you can still see it. But because I Mod Podged over it, now I have to cover it, where if I would have just taken water, I could have just removed the lines completely if I had been paying attention to what I was doing. I get tunnel vision sometimes and don't see things like this. So I'm just going in and trying to fix that. Then I'm going to go back in over that part and age it a little bit more. Here I'm adding that alcohol ink to the Mod Podge. And I'm just taking, even though it's got the alcohol ink on it, I'm just using that Mod Podge to go over the back of this paper. It doesn't matter. And then I'm going to Mod Podge that down. And putting another coat of the Mod Podge, and this is the dirtied Mod Podge with the blue, with the brown, brown. And going over the whole rock and Mod Podging everything to seal all the paper down to the rock really well. Once I hit my microphone. Once everything is dried and sealed really well, then you want to go over it with resin if you want it to look shiny, which is what I did. And here is the finished rock. I just absolutely love this rock. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.